The topic which will be discussed tonight is the 10th EDF Dutch Quarter Sewerage Project. Our first speaker will be the Prime Minister of St. Martin, and he's not only there in that capacity, but he's also here as a Territorial Authorizing Officer, who is our representative in Brussels. At this time, I am not going to delay any further, and I would like to encourage everyone to help me to welcome to the lectern our Honorable Prime Minister, Territorial Authorizing Officer, Mr. William Marlin.
Earlier we were chit-chatting in the back, and someone said, well, I was expecting a full house because we have been advertising and promoting this, and we've been house to house, so why aren't there more people? And I said maybe it has to do with the amount of time that we have been talking about this project. And at a given moment, people may become or may have become skeptical about the realization of the project. Because coincidentally, in 2012-13, when I was Minister of Romi at the time, I can remember when we came right here under the Weaver property, under a nice big white tent, and we gave a presentation of the project, and we said that we had secured the funding for the project to kick off. In December, I think it was 2013, December, the financing agreement for the project was signed. And here we are 3 years later, and still no project. With an election a couple months from now, I can imagine there might be people who are saying, an election gimmick, they're coming to promise Dutch Quarter that they will take care of things again, and it won't be done. After you. The reality is that it is at a stage now where it will be done. The financing has been secured. The project is a joint project with the European Union and the St. Martin government. On the budget that was approved, we have secured, I think it is 1.4 million euros, but of course in guilders, that the government of St. Martin will contribute, and the European Union is funding it for something like 4.7 million euros. Those details the others would embark upon. But we have also selected someone who would do the supervision for government during the lifespan of the project. And that contract went to Ilaco, a company that used to operate on St. Martin. Now they have moved to Suriname, but because it's a European Union funded project, they too could have inscribed and they won the bid. So they are now preparing the tender documents, and we are about ready to put the project out on tender. Because again, it's a European Union project, it takes much longer for the vetting and the screening to be done. And sad enough, politically, we would have been happy to tell you we will be doing the groundbreaking 2 weeks from now or 6 weeks from now, but the actual work will not begin, most likely. Promises have been made for it to be done earlier, but realistically, it will be done at the beginning of 2017. Later on in the discussions, you would get more about the technical details about it and what kind of impact it would have. For those of you who have been here or have been at the De Wever's property when we launched the project back then, not much has changed. I can remember then saying as well that when this project is completed, the people of Dutch Quarter would have the most modern road on St. Martin. A paved road. You have endured so much in the past with opening up the road for the sewage lines, and your road was never recapped properly. You will have the best paved road, you would have sidewalks, you would have street lights, you would have a modern 21st century road. During the construction period, that would be some 2 years, there will be some inconveniences, of course. And we cannot, because of the scope of the work, do everything that needs to be done in Dutch Quarter. So some of the homes, the most critical areas, will be connected to the sewage line as part of this project. And after that, just like we have done in St. Peter's, where the line was put down several years ago, but it's only this year the Minister of Romy secured money on the budget for us to now begin connecting homes in St. Peter's. In Middle Region, the sewage line there has also been completed. The road has been paved, but homes are now also in the process of being connected. So I'm here to guarantee you that at the stage that we are at, there is no turning back. The project has taken off. We are not yet in full flight, but we have taken off. We have taken off. We have selected a supervising consulting company, and they're busy preparing the tender documents, and you will begin seeing activity. So the team is here to provide information, to let you know of the progress that we are making and the cooperation that we would need from residents who will be affected by it. Everybody using the main road will be affected, whether you live in French Quarter, or Belvedere. Once you want to use this main road, you will be affected. But the people where we will be digging up in their area, laying lines, they will be affected while the work is going on, but they will be the ultimate beneficiaries, because you will no longer have sewage water running in front of your door. There are people who were born and raised in the stench of sewage water, and now it is coming to an end. I don't want to go into the technical details. I don't want to go too much on the territory of the Minister of Romy. As I said, 3 years ago, I was the minister then with responsibility for Romy, so the project is still very close to my heart, but it's a commitment this government has made, and the Minister of Romy is very much supportive of it. So he will give you some more information at the end, and I now turn it back over to the department for the information session to continue. But I'm happy to say again on behalf of government, welcome to this information session. I don't know how many more they have expected, but for me, we have a great turnout.
The European Development Fund, EDF, as it's known, is the main European Union instrument for providing community development aid on St. Martin. On December 5th, 2013, the European Union Commission signed the financing agreement between St. Martin and the European Union Commission for the 10th EDF. I can recall in 1989, before I left to go to the Netherlands, I had a friend living here in Dutch Quarter. I returned from my studies and my journey in the Netherlands in 2008, and in that period, the island has developed tremendously, and especially in the Dutch Quarter area. And with rapid development, that can put a strain on your infrastructure. And with that, we are seeing the consequences of rapid development in a short period of time and what it has caused on our infrastructure. For that reason, the Dutch Quarter was selected as the district to receive the funding of the 10th EDF by the government of St. Martin, as Dutch Quarter is seen as one of the districts that has been
designated as a socially deprived area in terms of what I just explained, rapid development and putting a strain on your infrastructure. Structural improvements to the district has been selected as a means through which to initiate and alleviate poverty within Dutch Quarter. The main activities of the Dutch Quarter Sewerage project are as follows: improvement to the 80 Illage Road through the construction of a new gravity sewer collector and a new pump station, construction of a sewer network, including house connection in the communities, discharging of sewage into the main sewer line to convey to the existing wastewater treatment plant, local upgrade of the drainage, upgrade to the new pavement and sidewalks, installing of street lights, and installing of fire hydrants. This, of course, will benefit the community and the residents of Dutch Quarter tremendously. Some of the benefits are increase in property value. With proper infrastructure in place, that's only increase the value of your property. Improve infrastructure and living condition that brings at least 25% of the district out of social deprived situation. A 75% reduction in the wastewater and drainage water on the streets, as was indicated by the Prime Minister. The impact will reduce the smell and the incidence of diarrhea and dengue in the district of Dutch Quarter, reduction in traffic congestions at peak hours in adjacent side streets, and improve traffic flows in the adjacent side roads. Utilizing the funding of the 10th EDF for the Dutch Quarter Sewage Project is not only a clear expression of the St. Martin's commitment to achieve the Millennium Development Goals, specifically Goal 1, poverty eradication, and Goal 7, environmental sustainability, but will also be a direct contributor to the actual realization of that goal. During the execution of the projects, as the Prime Minister also indicated, the residents of Dutch Quarter, motorists, and etc., who will be utilizing the 80 Illage Road will experience some inconvenience. Residents of Kane Drives, Nick Spring Drive, Richardson Drive, Gibbs Drive will also notice some inconvenience during the duration of the project. But again, we want to indicate our commitment on improving the district of Dutch Quarter and to improve the everyday living conditions of the people in Dutch Quarter. And I want to thank you.
Our society is made up of morals and values. What do we mean by morals and values? Morals are also called principles. Morals are habits with respect to right or wrong conduct. Morality is ultimately a personal compass of right and wrong. Values are standards or ideals. Values are important and lasting beliefs shared by the members of a culture about what is good or bad and desirable or undesirable. Values have major influence on a person's behavior and attitude and serve as broad guidelines in all situations. One important result of morals and values is integrity. Without morals and values, there can be no integrity. The word integrity is much used in our society of late. That is understandable, because integrity is one of the main building blocks of a well-functioning democracy. Without integrity, corruption can take hold of a community. Corruption is defined by Transparency International as the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. The gain can be either financial or non-financial. In a worst-case scenario, extreme corruption could lead to poverty and could be the cause of hardship. An impoverished community can quickly turn chaotic and unstable. This scenario should make it clear that the fight against corruption is necessary. More importantly, every one of us, as citizens, must take responsibility for this fight. We should all be concerned about the spread of corruption, which can be compared to a virus capable of crippling government, discrediting public institutions and private corporations, as well as having a devastating impact on the human rights of populations.
Our next speaker is the department head for the Department for the Interior and Kingdom Relations. He will be coming up shortly and speaking about, I think, the European Development Fund. It's a topic by itself. The Prime Minister mentioned earlier that we were here 2 years ago, and it took us about 2 years to reach the stage where we hired the supervisor for the project. Going through EU tender procedures can be sometimes like pulling teeth, huh? But we are glad we made this far, and it was through a lot of hard work at our department. And now I would like to introduce Mark Arnold, the department head for the Interior and Kingdom Relations, as he gives some insight on a lot of the bureaucracy here at E-Relations in St. Martin. Mark.
Good evening. Protocol has been established, and thank you, Hassani, for the great introduction so far. Welcome again to this information session. I want to keep my introduction very short because our work is highly technical, deals with procedures and red tape that we have to cut through. I think it's interesting to share some of that, but I can imagine that you want to know what will that project actually entail, and that's what Kurt Gewan is going to present in a minute. So I'm going to be short. Well, one of the responsibilities of the Ministry of General Affairs, the Ministry of the Prime Minister, is to seek and maintain good relations with potential funders for the development of projects in St. Martin. That responsibility is resting at my department. What we do to support the St. Martin is that we hunt down grant opportunities that St. Martin can potentially tap into. And you really have to hunt these things down because they're not really easy to find always. So we have our instruments to keep an eye out for those things. Once we identify a grant that we can potentially tap into, we evaluate if it's something to invest time and money into. Some of these grants can only be accessed if you have, for instance, a research institution with 6 PhD students and that kind of things. Some of those sorts of institutions we don't have on St. Martin, so we cannot apply at this time for those grants, maybe in the future. So we evaluate all these opportunities. In general, no development donor will just give you money to implement a project. It comes with a lot of requirements and with a lot of procedures to follow. Often the actual implementation of an EU-funded project or a project funded by another donor takes 5 to 7 years, while the actual groundwork of the implementation of a project is most often only 1 year to 2 years. So there's 3 to 5 years of preparations. Probably you don't want to know what that all involves, but it's our job, we're good at it, and I'm proud to contribute to the development of the country by dealing with these processes and procedures. And I do that not alone, of course, but with some of the finest young government officials that I met in St. Martin, young St. Martinaars, Hassani Ellis, Olivia Lake and Tommy Richardson recently joined the team. They're doing a great job. Anyway, we had some delays in the project, and the Prime Minister and the Minister of Romy mentioned a couple of them. Just to show how difficult it is to implement a project like this, the original project document was a document that was written on the level of the Netherlands Antilles, so that entailed 5 Dutch islands. The island of Bonaire, when the project was approved, wanted to change part of their project. That led to big debates, and in the end, 18 months of delay in the execution. We were all part of the same project. So there's very little Sint Maarten government could have done to prevent that. We just have to wait and sit out the ride and wait for the procedure to pick up again. Then there was an implementation agency, USONA, and the EU had some issues with them. USONA defended themselves, took the EU to court even. They won the case, which is good for them, but another year of delay. Very little government of Sint Maarten can do. Well, not very little, completely nothing that we can do. Then just sit and be disappointed that it takes so long. Then we did the tender procedure for the supervision of the actual works. The first tender that we did failed 5 months in that tender. We had to restart. So a delay of another half a year. What can you do? Nothing. It's just bite through the process, and in the end we will get there, and we are close to getting there now. Currently, the department is working on more than the project in Dutch Quarter. I think you heard about the project that was done in Middle Region. That's finished. We're preparing now a similar project as Dutch Quarter and Middle Region in Kolbe. And we're trying to connect that to a joint EU project together with the French side to build a sewage treatment plant on the other side of the hills. So that's another project that we're working on. That's an envelope of 10 million euro. Another project that we're working on, just to give you an overview of how important donors can be, is we are working together with 10 other Caribbean islands on a joint program to strengthen small and medium enterprises. It has a budget of 15 million to be implemented on in total 11 islands. Then we're working and preparing an envelope of 40 million to be invested in sustainable renewable energy and marine biodiversity, and to be prepared for changing of climate. We're getting enthusiastic in the back there. And to be ready for sea level rise and more extreme weather. So that is super important for the longer run. 40 million to be implemented in the region, and it's a cooperation of 12 islands that will benefit from that. And the Prime Minister of Sint Maarten is responsible for the actual coordination and implementation of that important regional program. So that's a big responsibility there. And still we're chasing other grant opportunities that are out there, and we have some that look pretty promising. So overall, good work, difficult, delays, not always up to us. Sorry for that, but we're biting our way through everything, and we'll get it done. I will leave my introduction at this. I thank you for your attention and enjoy the rest of the presentation.
As the Honorable Prime Minister mentioned, we were in Dutch Quarter times before. I have been in Dutch Quarter for years, since the implementation of the drainage project that started in 2011 and was completed around that time, because as we know that the district of Dutch Quarter is the second biggest flood-prone area in Sint Maarten. I mean, number one being the Cul-de-Sac Basin. We could all recall that fatal incident there in 2007 that caused 2 lives. But before I continue, I'd like to ask my colleague, Engineer Baco Maynard, who recently joined the services of the Ministry of Romy, to come and assist me. So he's also a team member on the project, and also presents Ms. Nathalie Perot van Heneigen, but she has chosen to just enjoy the presentation. So with that, welcome, and I will say let's get moving. The 10th EDF upgrading project, as the Prime Minister mentioned, one will ask himself, you guys were here a few years ago, you guys are here back again. Let's hope this is not a gimmick. It's not a gimmick, but if I could give, for example, the procedure and the process that a project takes prior to its implementation, likewise the Middle Region project, we all could recall the upgrading of Millerigion. It took quite some time from the inception when the project was implemented to each administrative procedures according to the European development guidelines. It took, before it could have actually get off the ground, a time frame of about 2 to 3 years, but in the end, it was worth the while. Government of St. Martin did try to jumpstart the upgrading of the Dutch Quarter Main Road project. A public tender to that effect took place in 2012, whereas government was eager to tackle the development and the beautification upgrade of the main road. That project got stranded because of financing, and we all know the hurdles that government went through in balancing its budget. But now, anno 2016, we can stand proud and say we are ready to go. With regards to this project, the government of St. Martin will be putting up some 1.4 million euro, in the European Development Fund, some 4.7 million. So we are ready to go. The commitment is there. The contribution from the government of St. Martin's side is there. And this project is a no-nonsense project. And when I say a no-nonsense project, it is a project that we will be dealing with the issues on hand. And when I say the issues on hand, the problem that we have in Dutch Quarter are grave. The problem with running sewage water is a concern of everyone. You will see sometime, I know there are people who come to the office and testify to this, and they say, hey, it didn't rain, and I'm still seeing the area, the surrounding is wet. Then afterwards, I would say, go look by your neighbor and see what's going on there. You'll go by your neighbor, and without you know, your neighbor pulley pumping, he good to go, and you are the one who is being affected. We have a lot of these problems island-wide. I mean, the minister could testify to that, and also the inspection department, but it is a health hazard because, for one, to be walking in sewage water on a daily basis, and when you come inside your house and you clean off your feet on your mat, and then God knows if you have a little baby or whatsoever, and they lay down on the ground, and with all consequences there too, the end is history with all health hazards there too.